Hello and welcome to the video where I will attempt to rank every single one of Emily Henry's romance books. I've read all 6 now. She's one of my favorite authors altogether, and she's definitely my favorite romance author, and I'm very excited to try and put them in the sequence from the worst to best and share the result with you. And if you don't agree with my ranking, that is absolutely cool. Please leave a comment down below. I would love to have a conversation and chat and see what's your favorite book and what's your least favorite. And if you don't like Emily Henry as a writer, that is also absolutely fine. If you have any recommendations of your favorite romance authors, either based on my favorite Emily Henry books or just your favorite romance authors, please let me know. I am in a search of other romance authors and other romance books that I would enjoy, and so far that search has not been very successful. So before we get into rankings, I would like to say that I do really enjoy her writing, so that is something that is consistent in all 6 of her books, and that is something that has not disappointed me. I do also enjoy how she structures her books, and I like the story, and I like characters, and that is also consistent from a book to a book. So even the book that I have in my number 6 spot is not one that I hated reading. I didn't want to DNF it. I don't regret reading it, but it was the one that I liked the least, and that is People We Meet on Vacation. So in this book, our main characters are Poppy and Alex. They met in college, to be more exact, on the way to college, and they could not be more different, and that is the basis of their friendship. And ever since they met, they've been going on a vacation once a year for the last 10 years. Up until 2 years ago, something happened, and they kind of haven't spoken since. And now Poppy is finding herself in a bit of a rut. She's not really enjoying her job, she's not really enjoying her life, and she's having a conversation with her friend where the friend asks her when was the last time Poppy was happy, and she admits that that was on one of her trips with Alex. And so Poppy decides to reach out to Alex and offer to go on another vacation, and to her surprise, he says yes. So from there, the book is structured in sort of 2 timelines. One timeline is the current time when Alex and Poppy have gone on another vacation and how that's going, and then the other timeline is us going back to the past from the moment that they've met and into every single trip that they've gone on, up until the point where we find out what happened 2 years ago and why they haven't spoken since. And this sort of a dual timeline was something that I really enjoyed. I thought that was also executed pretty well. I did really want to find out what happened 2 years ago, albeit the book was a little bit predictable, and I think from the very start you can sort of see where this is going and how it's going to end. But that didn't really change my reading experience. I did enjoy that jumping from current time up to the past to sort of see how their friendship and how their relationship was looking like before versus how it's looking now. Now, the thing that I didn't enjoy as much was the characters and the relationship between them and how it develops closer to the end. Now, Poppy and Alex have been friends for so many years and they know each other better than anybody else in the world. So they meant to be talking about how much they like each other's personality and good qualities, but instead Poppy would not shut up about how beautiful and fit and buff and tall Alex is, and that became a little bit tiring closer to the end. For that reason, I had rated the book 3 stars, and like I said, the majority of that rating was just me enjoying the writing and still having somewhat of a good time reading, just for the sake of enjoying the writing and the structure and sort of the jump between 2 timelines. But as far as Emily Henry books go, in my personal opinion, this is by far the weakest one, and I would probably not recommend this being the starting point of Emily Henry. I think a lot of people would be somewhat disappointed. But if you want to read all 6 books, then this is definitely one that would not be a complete waste of time, though I would definitely say that this isn't her finest work. Now, the next one is a bit of an unexpected one for most people. I know that a lot of people rank this as their favorite Emily Henry, and there is a bit of a caveat, but in number 5 is Beach Read. Now, the reason why I say there is a bit of a caveat is because I read Beach Read over a year ago. I was in a bit of a reading slum. I did expect it to be very similar to Funny Story, and it wasn't. It was a little bit more serious than Funny Story. I did find it beautifully written. I think it's very lyrical. There's a lot of quotes that I love from this book. There's a lot of chapters that I love from this book. It just unfortunately didn't match my reading mood at the moment. So I would probably want to revisit it someday in the future, and I think my rating would go up. At the moment I have it rated at 4 stars, and I think my opinion of the book would definitely go up. But the book is about 2 writers, Augustus and January. They both end up living in beach houses next to each other. Augustus writes contemporary fiction, January writes romance, and they make a deal between themselves to flip the genres, and Augustus will write romance and January will write contemporary fiction. And in order to help each other, they sort of do a bit bit of field days where they show each other what inspires them and what research they do for their books and how they write their books. And it's quite an interesting book to follow them both. I thought they were both really interesting characters, and I really enjoyed the relationship that was developing between them. Like I said, it just wasn't really what I was expecting, and I think I wasn't really in a mood to read it at the time, but I'm pretty sure if I give it another go, I would probably enjoy it more than I did the first time. And the next one at number 4 is Book Lovers. I had a really good time with Book Lovers. I rated it 5 stars. The upcoming 3 books are also going to be 5 stars. There's no surprise in that. And Book Lovers tells us a story of 2 people who work in the publishing industry. Now, Nora is a literary agent and Charlie is an editor, and they don't mix very well in their work life. So, when Nora takes a vacation and goes to a small town that is the premise of the last book that she was a literary agent for, she's very surprised to find out that Charlie is also there, and it's actually his hometown. And this really is a very feel-good story. It's a charming love story. There's no fallouts, there's no fighting, there's no down moments. It really is just a very pleasant book to read. Now, from here on out, it gets a little bit harder to rank them because all 3 books were one of my favorites. I ranked them all 5 stars and they were very, very strong 5 stars. I had the best time with all 3 of them. I recommend them to everybody. So it's really hard to pick a favorite, but I think this is approximately how I would rank them. Now, in number 3 is Great Big Beautiful Life, and it's her latest release, and it's one of the most unexpected books, I would say. It's very different from the rest of them. She herself said that she was very nervous releasing it because she wasn't sure how the audience would perceive it because it's so different from her other romance books. And it's a book about 2 writers, Alice and Hayden, and they're both competing for the right to write Margaret Ives' biography. And Margaret Ives is a very famous, a very rich heiress to a big dynasty, and she had quite an interesting life. And throughout the book, we again sort of have 2 timelines. One timeline is Margaret Ives throughout the interviews telling her life story, and the other timeline is the current day where Alice and Hayden are building their relationship, getting to know each other, and sort of their relationship with Margaret Ives and how that interaction is going. And I was having the best time reading this book. It will also always hold a very special place in my heart. The very first video that I ever filmed and my inspiration to start a YouTube channel and start making videos was actually reading this book. I really enjoyed it. I really wanted to share with everybody how much I enjoyed it. So that was the first video that I ever made, and I will always love this book for that. And the last 2 truly are a difficult choice. I would probably say that they both share number 1 in my personal opinion. I enjoy them equally. They are very different, therefore it's really hard to pick a favorite out of the 2. But let's say that number 2 will be Happy Place. Happy Place surprised me more than anything. I have read very conflicting reviews. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's a little bit different from other Emily Henry books. It's not just a fun and exciting romance. It's a story about 2 people who have already broken up. And our main characters are Harriet and Wynne, and they are forced to spend a week together at their friend's getaway, and their friends are not aware of the fact that they have broken up. So the entire book is them sort of exploring their past relationship and trying to figure out what went wrong. And it's a really interesting book to read, and it's a very satisfying book to read because throughout it, you discover that they've always loved each other and the love for each other never went away, and they really try to find a way to go back to their relationship and fix the issues that they were having and stay together regardless of what happened in the past. And I especially love this book because I could really relate to Harriet and I could relate to some of the things that she was going through and things that she was feeling and her experience in relationship. I think that's why it became one of my favorite books so quickly. It was also very unexpected. I didn't anticipate loving it as much as I did, so it very quickly slid into probably my favorite or one of the 2 favorite Emily Henry books. And the number 1 on my list is Funny Story. Funny Story was the first Emily Henry book that I ever read, and it's always going to be one that I recommend when I talk to people about Emily Henry because it is truly a fun, feel-good romance and it's beautifully written, in my personal opinion. And the book starts with Daphne going through a very painful and unfortunate breakup. Her fiance finally admits that he is in love with his best friend Petra, and now Daphne doesn't have anywhere to go. She doesn't have any friends because her entire life was shared with her ex, and she's forced to move in with Miles, and Miles just so happens to be Petra's ex. So there's a lot that they can share, and there's a lot of heartbreak that they can bond over, and they do. And it's a really fun book to read. I had the best time. I was laughing, I was giggling, I was marking my favorite quotes. I fell in love with both characters and I fell in love with her writing. And that was my start point into loving Emily Henry. And I have been a fan of pretty much every single one of her books, as I'm sure you can see in this video. So this is my ranking from my least favorite to my most favorite. If you don't agree, if your favorite book is completely different to mine, please let me know. I think I would especially like to know what people thought of Happy Place, because to me it was such an unexpected favorite and I completely didn't anticipate loving it as much as I did. So let me know what you think of her books. Let me know what you think of her writing. What's your favorite book? What's your least favorite book? And let's have a chat about it. And thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.